Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Boy, do we have a special program for you today. And we're going to start with a simple question. Is Eileen Gu guilty of treason? This is the question that I'm asking, okay? Because I've been watching the Winter Olympics. I've been watching how we've been reacting to it. I've been watching who we make stars. And I am curious about the ethics of Eileen Gu skiing for China. Now, I want to talk about it in the context of the broader situation we find ourselves in as Americans, and Americans, maybe the group of Americans who isn't in love with the administration, and also the group that wants to root for Team USA. We talked a little bit last week about Jake Paul getting upset when people are mean to ICE agents. Of course, we're in a position as a country where we can't have one single halftime show. And all these things feel kind of ridiculous to me, kind of childish, kind of bizarre. But there is a part of me who watches the Winter Olympics, and I see Eileen Gu, and that girl can ski. She can ski her little pants off. And I watch her, and I watch how much coverage we give to her. They put a chyron up. Okay, I'm watching the Winter Olympics. They put a chyron up. Eileen Gu takes to the snow next. And I'm supposed to be excited about that. An interview with Eileen Gu, kind of because she is the star. She is, and we'll play this clip of her in a moment, as she would put it, and it's true. She said the most decorated female skier ever. It's not quite true, but she's the most decorated freestyle air female skier. She skis for China. Now, when I'm watching the Olympics, I'm watching the home team coverage. Okay, I want it's once every 4 years. Winter, summer, so every 2. But you understand, when I'm watching the Olympics, I am fully buying in. The Olympics are propaganda you can trust. The Olympics are propaganda you can enjoy. When I tune into the goddamn you think I'm watching curling. You think I'm watching curling. I've said it twice. I'll say it again. You think I'm watching curling for the love of the game. You think I understand intricacies about the big, thick disc and the sweep, and why they're yelling at each other to sweep like we're in fucking Cinderella's house. Do you think I'm watching women's speed skating because I know do you think I'm watching it because I want to see the Dutch win something other than a eating chocolate for breakfast contest? Why do you think I'm watching? I'm watching to ingest a little bit of wholesome propaganda. I get plenty of propaganda in my normal life. I understand how it works. Drug boat, gotta blow it up. I understand how it works. But when I tune in, okay, and I turn on the Olympics, and I turn on prime time, 8 p.m. from Milan Cortina, and no, that wasn't an Italian accent. When I turn on the Olympics, I'm there to suspend disbelief. I'm there to suspend disbelief that I'm watching it live. All these things already happened during the day because of the time change. I'm here to suspend disbelief that beloved sportscaster Mike Tirico doesn't have some weird allegations. He was weirded to a lady in a car. You can look it up. I'm here to suspend a lot of disbelief, and I'm here to just be like, I just want to feel good about rooting for my country for a little bit. And furthermore, I do want to put politics aside for a little bit. Now, I want to parse this out because people got mad because they asked some like skiers or snowboard, whatever the fuck sport they play that none of us have ever heard of. They asked some of them hey, do you have trouble representing the U.S. right now? And some of them were like, well, this is like right after a dude got shot by masked federal agents in Minnesota. And people were like, yeah, it kind of feels a little weird. And then people were like, well, then fuck you, go ski for Norway or whatever. The people like freaked out. And it's like, I do think it's fair to say, like, the right answer. I don't know why. I'm going to do this. It's always fun that we interview athletes. Get to talk. I feel like they should just let me talk for them. Because there is an answer to this. There's an obvious answer to it. If you're upset by what's going on, what you say, and I think this is roughly what he said, is you basically say, like, look, there are things going on that I want to use my, right as an American to speak out against. I don't think that what's happening in the streets right now is great, but I'm always proud to wear the red, white, and blue because I believe in what it stands for. I believe in the ideals of it. I believe it's a place that we can make better, and that takes all of us. And so when I'm skiing, I do it with the utmost pride to wear the red, white, and blue. But I'm going to use my First Amendment right to say that the actions that happened this week are not who we are, and we got to be better than that. That's good. And people will still be mad. People will still be mad. But if you say you're proud, people can't freak out about you. Now, brings us to Eileen Gu. We're making her a star. Now, she is a star. She's talented. She's hot. I was looking, something came across my internet desk, and it was just like, people are losing their minds over Eileen Gu's face card. Her face card always slays, never declines. People don't know how to handle her face card. If you're old, that means she's hot and has a good-looking grill. Now, this is something I appreciate about Gen Z. I think the face has been overlooked in hotness conversation for a long time. I think face card has given a voice to something that we've all known. Now, I'm going to throw it back. I really will, to when I was growing up and simping over hoes like it was my job. Ever since I was a child, when I was in preschool, kindergarten, first grade, through forever, basically, I just remember, like, I was always in love with someone, right? And then as people started to develop, the guys are like, what do you think's the hottest part of a girl? Is it like her ass or like her tits? And it's like, now, first of all, those are both awesome. But I was always like, I don't know, like her face. And then people were like, you're a pussy. Well, I didn't have, if you just add card to that, if I'm like, dude, her face card fucking slays, then people understand. So Eileen Gu is a star, and she's from the United States. She grew up in San Francisco. We make great Asian Americans there. We do. San Francisco. And this is one of the things I'm very proud of about the Bay Area. We are one of the greatest factories for high-quality Asian Americans in the United States of America, which I guess is where you make Asian Americans. Would be hard to do at but maybe Fiji. I don't know. Other places that we like randomly kind of, but we don't have to get into that. Hawaii. We don't have to get into that. We make high-quality Asian Americans, and we made one. And I, quite frankly, I think she should be skiing for the United States of America. Now, a lot of people will rightfully say, why would you get to decide? You're just a white man sitting on a couch with a microphone. And to that, I would say, you're the one who pressed play on a podcast. But here's the deal. She grew up going to China. She spent her summers there. Her mother's Chinese. I would imagine she stretches in the park at sunrise. She would go there. She would spend summers in China. So I don't even know if she's ever skied in China. She came up on our mountains. Okay, and you watch her. She's in Vogue magazine. She moves like an American. She's an American. She's from America, but she would summer there. She would go visit the parents in summer. This is like how I would go to Michigan in the summer, visit my grandparents. Okay, because my mom grew up there, and even my dad was born there. A lot of Michigan there. But if I were to enter the Olympics of the United States, I would of course fly the flag of the Bay Area because that's where I'm from, just like her. But I would be proud, as I am when I root for the University of Michigan. I'm proud that I'm like, I've got a little bit of that in there too. So people have different reasons and considerations for why she's skiing for China. Now, I will admit that the way I started this program, where I asked if it was an act of treason, is potentially harshly worded. I think that treason is punishable by death, so I will wrap that up. I don't think it's quite treason, but I think it's treacherous and it is rude. Should she be skiing for China? And why is she skiing for China? And that answer, and the reason that I think it's a little bit more interesting as we enter a new age, as Gen Z takes over, as the perception of America and being an American changes, what people will go off and do and how they'll be criticized for it. Some people believe she's skiing for China because apparently there's some sort of money offer that they threw out there, and also the main thing is she knows she can be queen shit in China if she does this, and now all of a sudden she's going to be one of the highest paid athletes and certainly the highest paid female fucking jump skier of all time. Because she has America on lock. She moves like an American. We're all enthralled with her. Face card slays, never declines. And she can ski, and she's cool, and she's from the Bay, and she gives interviews, and everyone's like, and even the whole China thing, it added intrigue. What it also did was it opened up the world's largest market. China. And someone they can be proud of. And now the endorsement deals, now the fact that she's a global megastar. I mean, you want to talk about, if you make a movie in Hollywood and China picks it up, you making that money, you making that Mushu pork. Happy Lunar New Year. It's the year of the horse. Fuck. Let's do heroin. She is going to be immensely richer for this decision. Now, of course, to her, she's like, no, it's just a piece of my identity, but I've never seen her squatting on the side of the road smoking a cigarette. I haven't. And I think that it's a mix where I think she's made a smart athletic decision. And I also think it's indicative of this, individualistic era that we're in, where it's kind of like, yeah, I kind of like the fact, like, being Chinese amongst my friends actually makes me different. I want to wear that. I want to make it me. It's exciting. We talked in the last episode about the concept of loyalty. Like, even, and I used the example of being a San Jose Sharks fan. It's kind of interesting. It's like, that's my hometown, and it's a little niche. So I can wear that like as a badge, as a comedian. What other fucking comics do I know that are Sharks fans? None of them that have made it. It's a little interesting. It's me. It's different. And then in the midst of doing all that, you get wrapped up into this thing where it's like some people have opinions. It causes dialogue. It becomes this whole thing. Now people are like, who is this Eileen Gu? I've heard all this shit about her. And then you look at her and you're like, face card slays. She's on the cover of Vogue. She's a superstar. She's won more medals jumping around on skis than any lady ever. Add to that the competitive advantage of being from China and being an alive woman. That joke was rude. I apologize. And so this is all leading up to what some people have called the most Gen Z Olympics ever. I believe it was a writer. Let me credit where I saw this. It was in a Business Insider article. And someone dubbed this the most Gen Z Olympics ever for a few different reasons. Yes. Other posts praising Gu for being confident and poised gained thousands of views. Gu's messaging and self-advocacy follow the trend of what Business Insider's Amanda Yen recently dubbed the most Gen Z Olympics yet. Business Insider's Amanda Yen writing under the banner of what, America or China? It's been an Olympics full of public statements and oversharing, Yen wrote. This has included a Norwegian biathlete, even right there, he's a biathlete. They think it's because he skis and shoots guns. I think it's because he's sucking down cock and slurping up the pussy. This has included Norwegian biathlete who confessed to cheating on his ex in a slopeside interview, and American figure skater Amber Glenn addressing discrimination against the queer community under President Donald Trump. So Gen Z is here. They're here, and they are queer, and you better get used to it. I think it's not the only thing that what I don't think is nice is when you reach your 30s and you're watching the Olympics and you realize that it's like the kids who were in fucking middle school when you were in high school. But that's how life works, ain't it? So it brings up an interesting question about what the Olympics are and where the Olympics are headed in an era of increasing tensions amongst the global superpowers and increasing discontent sowed by the information age and also the actions of our leaders and the revelations of what the global elite have been up to on an island and what that means for pride. So I understand why Eileen Gu did it. There's a lot of smart decisions there. But I also think part of that decision is we as Americans can understand that, can appreciate it. But I think when we're doing prime time United States Olympic coverage, why are we showcasing her all the time? We're not showcasing Amanda Dawn van der Sloot, the fastest wooden shoe speed skater out of the Netherlands. Probably even more German with that accent, but you understand the point. We're not doing this for anyone else. We're doing it because we still are like, she's kind of American, but she's skiing for the enemy, let's be honest. And she can do that and she can have fun, but we don't need to put that on our goddamn channel. And there's gonna be more of this. And that's okay, because you know what? Hey, it's your heritage, do your thing, be proud of it. It's kind of cool. America as a place is a melting pot, right? Everyone's heritage comes from somewhere else. Well, not everybody, but the natives here. I haven't seen many of them in the Olympics, and I hope they get there, and I hope they win. But people like harken back to the eras, like we all talk to each other with this, like, well, I'm actually Scottish, I'm Scottish. Well, you go over there like, blimey, you want some haggis? And you're like, yeah, actually, I don't know about that. Just thinking of going down to the mall and drinking some Four Locos with my boys, because like at some point, we got to put our foot down. We got to put our foot down and say, it stops with Gu. It stops with Gu. If you want the Chinese market, you can have it, but we're not going to cover you like you're Sean Snow White, lady. You don't get the same coverage. You're not skiing for us, but I understand where you're coming from, and I'm happy for you. It does bring up a lot of interesting questions of patriotism, because I don't feel particularly at my most patriotic right now. I don't love when the powers that we've gained as a country are used for things like, again, deploying masked federal agents to step on constitutional rights, regardless of how you feel about deportations. I don't totally love the fact that we're still, even after we invaded Venezuela, blowing up boats in the Pacific that we say are smuggling drugs. And I'm not even pro-drug smuggling. I just think that there's a whole thing that we've been kind of working on called the rule of law, and not just taking people at their word when they choose to kill people. These are small little things that I thought were kind of part of the American experiment. So yeah, that stuff, along with the fact that, of course, we have found that a lot of people and the elites in our country have been involved in really horrible, disgusting actions based on Epstein and his island and all. So I haven't been walking around waving an American flag like crazy. I get that. And the people who do, the people who are like the most patriotic, the people who are the quickest to put a flag on a truck to be like, fuck yeah, I'm not afraid of the red, white, and blue. The funny thing about their patriotism is it's that kind that sometimes makes it harder to engage with. At the end of the day, I am what I would tell that skier or figure skater or whatever godforsaken fucking rich white boy winter sport the young gentleman with the perfect hair played. I'm critical of the country because I believe in what it could be, but I will never not root for us. I will never not be patriotic, and patriotism to me is rooting for the country when it's an athlete on TV and rooting for the country to live up to the better qualities that we have. Not blindly shouting, America, fuck yeah, not remembering that song was a piece of satire about how stupidly we walked into Iraq. But my patriotism allows me to say, I don't care how hot you are, Eileen Gu. I hope you fall on your skis. And you shouldn't be rooting for her if you're an American. Now, everyone is, however, still rooting for her because she's an undeniable superstar, and that's just a fact, folks. It just is. If you're hot and you're good at what you do, things are going to work out for you. That's one of the things that it's true, and not enough people talk about it. If you're hot and not good at what you do, you will also be fine. And that's another interesting reality. And I think people get this mixed up because there's levels of hot. Right? Like people be like, I don't know. I know attractive people who are like struggling in a couple ways. And I'm like, sweetie, I'm talking undeniable. I'm talking like straight up smoked out. You could be an absolute drooling moron. So like, let's say Eileen wasn't a great skier, but she was still attractive. Okay. And let's say she didn't go to, I think she went to Stanford. Let's say she didn't go to Stanford, but she went to DeVry. And she still went skiing, and she was bad at it. And she's just on the mountain, and she's kind of like, she's like sitting there. And again, this isn't her. This is not an impression. She's intelligent, whatever. But like, imagine she wasn't, right? And she goes skiing anyway, and she's wearing like, hot chick outfit. Like, it's like a ski suit, but it's tight, and it has the feather, and it's like one of those where it's like, so I want something that's like thick enough so that I'm not like cold, because it can actually get like really cold. I don't know if anyone is there like a draft in here now? Because one of the things about me is like, I'm so like tiny and dainty that I get really cold. And so I want and I'm in here and I want to buy this ski suit that keeps me from getting really cold, because again, I'm really small, and so I get cold easy. But also I do because I have kind of like a cute butt and tits, and this isn't her exactly. I'm not aware of her physique. They were baggy outfits, but I would imagine this is the girl that we're talking about, and she's and I just kind of want to I'd like a little perk in the front and the back, but I also don't want to get cold. So she's wearing one of those tight form-fitting one pieces, feather kind of trim, right? And she's on the bunny slope, and she can't ski. She sucks at it. She's actually sitting there, and she's so bad at skiing that she's just started taking photos on her phone. She's just Instagramming, taking selfies, and kind of geotagging and being like, oh my God, who wants après ski? My favorite part of ski is the après, using a little bit of French, but basically just saying I want champagne, right? And she uses geotag location, and probably like 60 rich dudes would tap that geotag location, and then she could pick which one, and she would still live in several houses on beautiful lakes. This is how it works. So that's true. Now, if you're hot and good at what you do, you're going to be fine. She could be skiing for Israel. She'd be doing okay. Folks, here was a little moment, and this kind of ties in with the general Gen Z vibe of these Olympics. She was asked after getting another silver medal, what she thought about it. Now, here's the reporter asking away.
Also, do you see these as 2 silvers gained or 2 golds lost?
I'm the most decorated female free skier in history. I think that's an answer in and of itself. How do I say this? Winning a medal at the Olympics is a life-changing experience for every athlete. Doing it 5 times is exponentially harder because every medal is equally hard for me, but everybody else's expectations rise, right? And so the 2 medals lost situation, to be quite frank with you, I think is kind of a ridiculous perspective to take. I'm showcasing my best skiing. I'm doing things that quite literally have never been done before. And so I think that is more than good enough. But thank you.
So people on the internet lost their minds over this clip. Everyone that I saw was like, fuck it. A queen slay. Dunked on him. Idiot. Fuck you. What's interesting to me is that I think, now here's a hot take. I think her answer is perfectly fine and reasonable and a really healthy perspective to have as a human being that wants to enjoy what is objectively an amazing life. I also think at like the peak apex of sick fuck athlete competitors, they would have a different answer. And I also think that reporter did a good job. This is the crazy one because everyone's like dumb idiot fuck who never skied fuck idiot. His job is to get into the mind of the athlete and to find out, are you happy with those or are you upset? This is actually this is the question I would have when I'm like, well, she's kind of like the best skier. Is she pumped because the silver medal's awesome? I'm never going to have a medal. I'm never even going to get the Olympics tattoo everyone gets to get. But I wonder for her if she's happy. That's a reasonable question. He asked the question. We got her response. And I thought both people did their job. She showed us what she was thinking, and he got her to show us that. But everyone is using this as this like, yeah, you fucking idiot. That is a British, I assume, sports reporter. What do people remember what reporters are? Maybe because we don't have many of them anymore. Or because people think it's going to all be AI or everything. Everyone just like looks at clickbait now. No one understands like the quality of who wrote something and who cares who wrote it. And we're all like downstream of people writing and talking about things. I don't know what happened here, but like a British sports reporter is supposed to be a kind of wrinkly, like posh, guy exactly like that. Who's like, how do you feel about it? Does it feel like medals lost? They're supposed to be like curmudgeon-y, matter of fact, to the point. I thought he was great, and I thought she was great. And, of course, the conversation is just going to be like, finally, slay queen, fucking kill this, girl power. Woo! You! No notes. Yeah, I have no notes, but I don't have any notes for him either. I thought that was fair. I thought it was good. And you know what? Like I said, Michael Jordan ain't saying that. But again, people are saying Michael Jordan was touching a child's butt. I don't have time to get into that. I haven't had time to wade into that. I think what she is arguing for is a really helpful way of thinking about your life. It's something that I actually think we all are going to have to start getting used to. And I think that athletes may have a little bit less Kobe insanity in them, Jordan insanity in them, and they may end up having a little more Eileen Gu, and they may end up having a little more, why am I blank? Simone Biles. Hey, wasn't there today. It's okay. I'm still the shit. Hey, you are. Good for you. And I think that they have earned those things for two reasons. One, they have learned through failure and online conversation and dialogue and critique that it is never ending, that there is no satisfaction, that if you're only obsessed with the top of the mountain, then you get there and you realize, wait, what was it all for? And then you have a crisis of consciousness, a crisis of purpose, and you have to be Aaron Rodgers, and you have to go to Chile, and you have to do ayahuasca in a tent with a man named Pepito who blows smoke in your face, and you have to talk and think about the plant medicine and go deep within inside yourself and become more self-aware and also somehow more annoying at the exact same time. Or you can realize you're living a wonderful life. You've done something very cool. You need to find a way to appreciate it. And if you know you worked as hard as you possibly could, then be happy. Enjoy it. And the other reason is because they're women, and women are weaker. Guys, I'm kidding. What I think is interesting about this is that this is a conversation I am starting to have with a lot of friends of mine in my industry, in comedy. I can feel everyone's burned out. Everyone is kind of like, and I realize this isn't a gold medal, but everyone I know is basically like, I posted a clip, I went viral, and it didn't change my life. So then the next clip I posted didn't do well, and then I wanted to kill myself. But then 2 clips later, I posted it and went viral, and I feel good again. And you do this over and over and over again, year after year after year, and you also start getting involved in public criticism. Famous comedians are getting dragged on YouTube channels. Non-famous comedians are feeling famous in their own tiny worlds where they went viral on one clip, but another clip went viral maybe for the wrong reasons, and you got a lot of hate, and you got a lot of pushback, and people thought you were a douchebag. And then on top of that, you were noticing some backlash towards like, man, some people are getting sick of comedy, some people are getting sick of podcasts, some people are getting sick of crowd work clips, some people are getting sick of blah, 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 and you're in this vortex of like this negativity of like, if you're not first, you're last, and it's criticism over everything, and you're so exposed to all of it. And so, you know, what we're seeing athletes react to is this high level of being constantly in this realm of criticism and expectation and critique and hate, and then success that overcomes the hate, and then more hate that comes with the success. And then comedians that I know are dealing with it, and then other people are kind of dealing with it too, because basically we've created this society where we all have tiny little pockets of our own fame, and so we all feel the tiny pressure that celebrities feel if you're involved in the social media realm. Some of you might just be watching along and being like, what the fuck is going on? But you might even be stressed too, because you're just like, it feels like so much all the time, and I don't know how to stay on top of it. And at some point, someone comes along and is just like, fuck it. I'm happy with some of the things that have happened in my life. I'm going to exhibit some gratitude, and maybe I don't have to be so focused on this almost impossible to attain thing that even once I get is unsatisfying, because now I want more. And perhaps in this world that we've created that is so complex, that is so filled with criticism, that is so filled with dopamine traps and constant feedback and media and blah, 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 some people are breaking free and going, I got to find my own way to enjoy myself and protect my mentality. And that's why what she's speaking to is resonating with a lot of people. And it is a healthy message, and it is a good message. But also, the reporter asked a good question, because some athletes still have a little bit extra of that dog in them. All right, let's talk some tour dates, folks. JoeyAvery.com. That is the website. This weekend, I'm going to Huntsville, And then I will be going to Nashville, followed by Vegas, Salt Lake City, Minneapolis, Calgary, Naples, Dania Beach, Dallas, Texas, Bernalillo, Edmonton, Charlotte, North Carolina. A few more coming. I know Bay is going to get up there. San Diego, we're going to come back. Got to get in Austin together. It's been a while since I've been to Austin. But mainly, folks, I want you to start subscribing to the YouTube now, the other YouTube. That is just youtube.com/Joey Avery. I think this weekend, depending on when we get it done, I'm coming out with a new show called Away Games. And what we're going to do is bring you on the road with me, and you're going to get a little bit of day in the life, some vlog stuff mixed with some local jokes about my experience there, and then a bunch of the fun crowd work moments all kind of in one thing. So if you weren't at a show, you get to be there. If you weren't able to hang out with me, you basically do. It'll be fun, and then that is going to lead up to the special, which is coming very, very soon. This is not a big enough channel that I need to worry about fucking a date up, so I'm going to say circle March 1st in your brain. That's going to be a Sunday, March 1st. I'm going to try and get it ready by then. If we need to push a week or two just to make sure that I have other podcasts and things to make sure that other people get to see it, great, but you guys will be the first to know, and I want the 12s to know more so than anyone else. Okay, then interesting story here, and I can't help but feel that this ties in to some of the conversation that I was having about Eileen Gu and the Gen Z Olympics. This was an interesting story that popped up in the Wall Street Journal. Farmers are aging. Their kids don't want to be in the family business. No one's hoeing that land. No one's dropping that seed in the soil. A fifth generation I should just read the whole thing. I'm not going to. But I want to set the tone. There's like a pastoral kind of beauty to it. They Marshall, Illinois. Don Gunnip is running out of time. The fifth generation farmer still wakes early each morning to tend to roughly 1,000 acres of corn and soybeans and 40 cattle. But 4 decades of grueling work, a bout with prostate cancer and surgery to replace both of his hips, have taken their toll. Here's the point. He's a fifth-generation farmer. He has been working that land. The Gunnip's been working that land forever. But his kids don't want to. His kids don't want to, and the reason that we're telling you this story is not because you care about Mr. Gunnip, although you should. He's a fine gentleman, I'm sure. The real thing is that family agriculture is in crisis, and American farmers and ranchers are fighting for their livelihoods. Those left are aging. There are more farmers 75 and older than under the age of 35. Now, this is happening for a few different reasons. One, the economic conditions, right? People want to make a money, and you see declining margins. You see increasing volatility based on tariff policy. You see some, concerns. The Monsantos of the world, big farmers trying to gobble you up, corporatize everything. And then also you have the fact that this generation's a little different. Kids aren't going into school being like, I'm going to be a farmer like my daddy. Like, that's just not, and I'm sure it happens sometimes. And when it does, it's beautiful. And if you're listening to this on a farm, be a farmer like your daddy, is what I would say. But it's shrinking like crazy. And this is one of those things that feels like an indicator of all the stuff that's happening. We've reached a point in time where the middle-class jobs are getting squeezed out. Big companies can buy your farm, and your kids don't want to do the fucking grump. They want to be on TikTok. Why would you want to be in the field going like this when you could be online going like this and making twice the money? These kids, what did his kids end up doing? Let's look at, we have a family tree here. We have the Gunnip family tree. 1837, Joseph Gunnip settles and clears the land, starts farming. 1890s, Ed Gunnip, like his father, farms to subsist. 1910, Arthur Gunnip begins commercial farming. Adds cows after losing an arm. Adds cows after losing an arm. Who wouldn't want to join the family business? I can lament. I will say this for my apartment on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I want people to take over their parents' farming businesses, but I don't. My father had a family business working in the public sector, doing executive recruiting, doing labor relations, helping, this town needs a fire chief. Let's go out and find one. Good, honest work. People farming. You find a good fire chief by tilling the state. Things of that nature. Did I join the No. I wanted to edit clips. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to film myself and edit clips. That was always my dream. And shit, fuck, dick, piss, am I living it? People have their own dreams now. The economy has changed, and it's like, to make money around the margins when big companies can just come along and fuck your entire shit while you're doing all this hard work. It's like, it feels like a robot's going to be working the fields. And I understand why these kids don't want to do it, because a lot of us don't want to stick around and do the family business. We want to do things that are more adapted to the time, that are more adapted from the opportunities that we have. And while there are obviously complaints about the economy, let's not lie, compared to a lot of places in the world, we do have opportunities in America, especially if you're able to get an education. Yes, student loans are bad. Yes. But let us not pretend there is not opportunity here. I understand why people don't want to do it. But what's important as I'm reading these articles is that I want them to do it. I want you to stay on that farm because it feels better to me. Arthur Gunnip loses an arm and adds cattle. Robert Gunnip helps modernize farm with new equipment. Don Gunnip takes over when his dad... It's an honorable life, but I do understand why someone might not want to die in the same lot, because it's more honorable to die in an overpriced apartment in a different state. So Don Gunnip, the gentleman who we've picked up the story with, has taken over when his father became ill. And Generation 6, 2026, Andy Gunnip and Molly Wedding. Okay. Molly Wedding? I think I know some friends who had one of those. There's really no better thing. A Molly Wedding? Come on. That's the best night of that DJ's life. Just fucking ripping Molly, hucking darts, and celebrating nuptials. What a life, and what a time to huck a dart. You can have 900 of them. They go down like water. Andy Gunnip and Molly Wedding forging their own paths off the farm in law and pharmaceuticals. Because let's be honest, that is the middle class of America now. If you're not working for a gigantic law firm or Pfizer, you're not in the middle. That is the middle class now. Let's be honest. We know what the elites are. We see the elites. We've seen the emails. They're all hanging out on a fucking island. Okay? There is island, and then there is middle class is all the jobs that used to be high. Used to be like, holy shit, the man's a doctor. Now I'm like, holy shit, could he buy his house? Maybe. This is what people don't talk about the vaccines. Now, I don't believe vaccines cause autism, but I do believe that one of the main reasons everyone needs to get vaccinated and boosted is so that we can keep having a middle class, because if you're not in pharmaceuticals, you're fucked. You're fucked out here. And so this brings us back to the topic of patriotism, of individuality, of Gen Z versus the Olympics, even of loyalty, which we discussed in the last episode. It feels to be eroding a little bit because when you realize how cold that motherfucking world is and how many people benefit from you sticking to what they need for their team when they're not really sticking up for you for being on their team. This is what happens rooting for a country sometimes. You start making your own decisions. And then what? We have no farmers left. And then what? We only have big farm. And then what? You thought there was a lot of plastic stuck in your ball sack. Now, you're going to be coming ropes that belong at Toys R Us. You're going to be shooting out Fisher Price. You're going to be coming basically blocks. And what I'm talking about is plastic for toys, not that children should be playing with it, because let's remember, you're not a billionaire, folks. So there it is. And unless you think that that things are getting a little weird and depressing, because they're not. Again, this is an optimistic show, and I am an optimist, but we cover the issues of the day. The one other thing that just came across my desk, because I didn't know was true, Trump has come out with, or at least they're working on, Trump media is wading in to the gambling on global events space with a product called Truth Predict. And this, I think, is a win for the free market. Because if you are concerned about using Polymarket to gamble on global geopolitical catastrophes and the ethics of that, and maybe not wanting to be tied in with Don Jr., the other Donald Trump, who's on the board of Polymarket, well, then you will be pleased to know that Trump Media and the Trump family is offering you a different option to wager on global events, which leaves you a very small chance of succeeding, unless, of course, you are trading off of inside information, which, of course, the people who are doing this and actually winning are at the expense of you suckers who are listening to ads about it and contributing your own money. But at least you have the opportunity to determine if you want to gamble with Don Sr. or Don Jr. And don't ever let people tell you that the free market doesn't provide fair opportunity for different for every kind of consumer. Holy fuck, what is going on? There's got to be a way. Okay, there's got to be a way to have an economy that is built on more than just AI, gambling, and OnlyFans. And by the way, as critical as we are of AI sometimes, it's certainly the best of those three. And I would do a gambling sponsorship, but maybe I wouldn't. But yes, I would, because I probably would. But not for a Polymarket, only for like sports or something, because that's more fun. But you also lose. You lose, you lose, you lose. But I do it a little bit too, because it is fun. It's fun. If you really think about it, you know, I think people get caught up with the concept of like, well, you know, they're just, let's even broaden this out from gambling. Okay, let's take gambling and social media companies at large, things that compete for your attention. The concept is that as these things have gotten so good at what they're doing, as they've gotten so complex, and we've gotten so good at using them to compete, and our own ability to get better at using the platforms has allowed them to reach more people, what the gambling companies and the social media companies are doing is basically exploiting the known flaws of the human brain. The irrational belief, the addiction to gambling, the need for connection, the desire for fame, the refreshing need to satisfy dopamine, going down a further and further rabbit hole, wanting to satiate boredom, and then the chance to actually make money. And you tie all these things together, and what we've done is we've taken our primitive biology that is meant to be running around throwing shit at one another and hoping to find a juicy, delicious banana, and we've exploited that with these incredibly smart and complex mathematical machines that really the only victors are the people who control them, and they are meant to control you and extract your best resources, be them your direct finances or your attention, so that ads can be, and that's the negative concept of them. The positive spin is like, aren't we all just kind of gambling on anything? Isn't life sort of a gamble? You know what I mean? Like, every day you're just waking up and making a choice, you know? Crossing the street is a gamble. You know what I mean? And don't you really, like, don't you kind of need to know what's going on? Don't you need to constantly see what's happening in the world? Don't you want to stay in contact with people? And isn't it good? Like, don't you want, like, the economy to kind of be up, you know? Because, like, I do. Like, the best way to make money passively is to invest. So we're all kind of invested in, like, you know, if you're in the total market, it's like, you know, some of that money we're getting from these giant gains and the money people are taking in gambling and taking in on social media. It's like, well, it kind of helps the 401k. And, like, don't we all kind of need to be part of it? Like, at the end of the day, whose team are you on? Like, at least it's a good fucking American company doing this. It's not some goddamn Chinese company. And don't you just want to be a proud American who's bought in and invested in all the success? And at the end of the day, that gets me, because I do, because I am from here, because I am loyal, because I am proud, because I am patriotic, and because I have my own interests in mind. So yeah, fuck yeah, go Team USA, let's do it. And then where it kind of breaks down, and what I think is happening a little bit over these past few years, and especially months, and really especially weeks, now that we know some of what's going on, is you realize, hey, if I'm gaining a little, what are the people up to who are gaining a lot? And then that's where it gets a little depressing. And then that's where it gets a little bit harder to enjoy, a little bit harder to want to be a part of. And you could understand how you might be sitting there thinking, like, hey, I'm just a cog in a wheel. I'm just a beautiful, intelligent, young Asian American woman living in the Bay Area, trying to enjoy skiing every once in a while. And I don't know if I like everything that's going on. I don't know if I want to pay blind loyalty to this. So maybe I'm a little bit different. Maybe I'm a little bit that. And I am different. I'm going to break out of the matrix. I'm going to do something a little different. And then the one thing that you're not considering during all of that is, what the fuck's going on over there in China? And do they have the same problems? And are they maybe even worse? Something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. But until then, enjoy the Winter Olympics. Go Team USA. Come on out and see me on the road. JoeyAvery.com/live. You know I love you. I'll see you next week. Big up to the 12. Peace.
I have to thank all the 12s that are here with us. All the 12s at watch parties everywhere. And all the 12s around the world.
Thank God.